Can you put a one in the chat so I know you can hear me? So I came on for Q&A. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and talk because that video pertaining to the archangels was on the Tuckity Tick. A lot of people became interested in my channel. So I'm here for Q&A. Peace and bliss to you as you come in. I came on because I want to talk about the energy that I just pulled. Very interesting. When you all see this reading, you're going to say, she's right. Some of you, you're going to know the person instantly, and others of you, you're not. You're going to speculate, and that is what the energy pool is for. For those that come in that have donated, I really do appreciate you. Much love, peace, and bliss to you. For those that are thinking about donating, I appreciate it as well. Appreciate you. For those that want to donate but they can't, equally so. My channel is a mixture of all type of beings. What's going on? What's going on, Jess? As some of you, I notice you instantly. Anybody have any questions for me? What I'm going to do is, once I clear this energy, I'm going to be able to do a reading specifically for the people that have donated for whatever reason, okay? Whether if it was due to my situation, or or you want an energy pool or something, it could be a combination. I appreciate all of you, and there's something special coming for you all, because a lot of you could be members, but you're choosing not to be, and you still took that money and you donated, and I appreciate it. Now, the energy that I pulled, well, this is not a spoiler, but what I'm saying is I want to see, because of what just took place at my workstation and what is taking place here, I want to see if it match. This is why Gabriel came out, because someone is attempting to contact Archangel Gabriel. And when they say Arch, he laughs. Just like with who you consider to be a great, he's not an angel. We're talking about Jesus, who you consider to be a great angel. He's not. And if you were to know why that whole incident took place, you possibly wouldn't feel that way. But because you've been indoctrinated, this is why you have that stance. A lot of you are not intelligent enough to spar with me, physically or spiritually. So don't get too big for your britches. I expected the garbage truck to pull up. I did. So if you hear garbage truck, if it's too loud, I'm gonna mute it or end the live, but that'll be the reason for that. When I shared that little, it's not really a trailer, it's just maybe a 1 minute video. Let's just put it that way. It introduced people to a new way of thinking when it comes down to do with angels. When you attempt to take the ark, which is a title, often an angel, that means that they no longer protect you. It's like with paradigm shifts, you get introduced to new figures, like Jesus was introduced to a generation that is not even associated with none of y'all eras. You have no idea of the greats for your era yet. It'll make sense in the coming evolution. It will make sense. Because right now it's not making sense to y'all that that is doctrine that is not even for you. It was not for any of y'all. For a very long time, we're talking about before Common Era. He was introduced with the reversion, which is not associated with none of y'all eras either. A lot of buffs that believe in that particular scripture or doctrine believe that it is for themselves, not for their parents, which I don't understand. The thing is, someone is trying to stop a channeling. When they realize that it is me talking, my words, they tend to stop. Sometimes you get a headache or something. You don't want to play that psychic stuff up in here. I'm indeed an angel. What happens is the ones that feel like they inherited connectivity, which is interesting that you choose connectivity, they attempt to communicate telepathically all the time. Now, for most people, not for just black people, for most people, it's a hard concept, but it is because of the color I am, where people believe that it's not fathomable, but it indeed is. This is not something that is being introduced by me when we're talking about telepathic communication. All of these concepts exist because there were beings that came out with a calling. Now, some was accepted and some were not. In the scripture that you're talking about, it says he has hair of wool. So that is like a hint. When you talk about a mixture of three different beings, that means they took bits and pieces of someone's energy and combined them and made them a Hatheru. For these type of beings that existed back then, everything was poetry. I've already talked about this in my readings. They're not the same type of beings that we are. So everything was profound and big and grand and all of that stuff. We say things like the book, we don't really say, well, y'all don't really say anything that is profound. You know what I'm talking about? So, as you all come in, make sure you like the video and share. There's a lot of people that try to figure out what angle they can make some money from me, before they do so, because they don't want people to know that I'm here. When they really grasp the concept that I'm really an angel, then it changes. Because then they're sitting there like, okay, if she can call on Archangel Gabriel, if I can call on Archangel Sotonesi, Baphomet, Asekino, Ogun, then when you hear those type of beings, you say, wait a minute. What it is there's a region that is aware of harnessing. So we can, since the Orishas are popular, as one of them Baba Asikios is harnessing possible. Because when you see them throw their bodies up and down, they believe that that is a Akanti, an Ogun, or Obatala, a Sikivi, a Shun, Yanasi, Yemaya, in their bodies. So when we talk about spiritual practices that stem from what you believe to be African Americans, those are the ones that believe that it is true, and those are also the ones that a lot of you want to go see to get stuff off of you. So we're not going to bypass that. So if they're real, then we're definitely real. It's the law, not the lure. For some reason, when I try to put the words out for you to understand that a slippage of the tongue is how a lot of these things get summoned. When you're saying it and you're not supposed to say it, you don't know who you are. You could be a setup artist. You know, they want a goon, and if I mean anybody in their right mind, when you say things like "oh goon talk," like he a like he a toy or something, like you know, like you just gonna sit here and have a conversation with old goon. Anybody have any questions for me? Because now is the time. When you speculate, that means you have questions that you want addressed so I can clear it up. What happens when it's on the fly like this, it's different because then you hear it, you know that I'm indeed holding the iPhone because that's what you're holding, and I'm not at my workstation. See that? It was dancing. It was dancing for you. The problem is you want to play with me, but you're thinking about not doing so. Because just in case, you know what I'm talking about? That just in case. What is happening is you all are bearing witness to greatness. When I talked to you in your minds and I said that, y'all said, is that either? Is that the YouTuber? And I said, I'm not a YouTuber. You know, some of y'all mistake yourself, like when y'all say y'all content creators. When you create content, that means it's something viewable, something that people want to watch. What you all are streamers. When you put that camera in front of your face and you start waving your 30-inch nails, I wore them, I wore wigs, I wore extensions, but my attitude was not like some of y'all just, the way you look spiritually, you know, and then you go and say things like, he should not have been with her. He knew she was, and you out there looking like a grown woman. Ooh. You know, we just went offline. Yeah. With your fiance. With my fiance. Hector. What? This is not one of those type of lies, Cynthia. I don't do that. My Q&A is for people that have questions about who I are a particular reading. Because usually I'm on my other channel, they oddly don't want to come in here because they don't want to support the one that's going to be monetized. This is what these jerks, weirdos, this is what they're saying. Y'all see how they do me? Oh, look at that. I'm actually learning something here. So y'all let me ask y'all some questions then, cause y'all kind of scary. So what y'all feel about the entitlement era? What's the age range? Oh, excuse me. What's the age range? the front line. Are you associated with the service? Because that's service member lingo. Well, at least she's attempting to do something. If you are a she, Gigi. What are you chosen for? We wanna normalize knowing what we're chosen for. Because with a statement like that or a name that talks about being chosen, do you understand people that were chosen before you see that and they say, "We got one." You know, it's kind of like when I talked about on this platform, people picking up tarot cards and not realizing that each and every card is a spirit. So that means you have to have a certain type of coverage over you to even handle the energy that comes from the cards. Tarot readers are aware of that, but not tarot, because tarot readers feel like if they memorize the chart, they can make a quick buck. Nothing that they're saying is thought provoking. Nothing that they're saying is going to change the world or anyone's energy. I am an oracle. When you get a reading from an oracle, there's healing associated with that. This is something that they cannot provide. My healing, you notice. What's the truth? Your truth. You're not in the middle of one. The archangels are. This is the type of stuff that y'all don't have to worry about. The ones that actually had it in their domains are ones that do not talk about it. That means at one point there was something happening in your living room while you were going through ascension. These are the things that people that are guided to talk about and document, they're going to do so. It won't be any of the ones that feel like they could copy my work. Because when you have a calling on your life, that means, for instance, when you hear someone or see someone like me, you have a call to write about it. In your words, the way you see it, feel it, read it, because it's important. A lot of people that are in observance, not necessarily those watching now, have a calling on their life, and they don't understand why the God is telling them to stop working, to sit down, to do that hobby, to redo that project, to go back to school, to have a child. You know, it's the little things. Well, when the God calls you to have a child, it is because of the future. You want to talk about the harlots from the Bible. There is a group of women that are already aware that there's harlots in the Bible. And this is why they have salvation, because of those harlots. If there had not been a harlot that turned into an archangel at one point, none of us would have salvation. If you would have asked me that question 3 years ago, it would, well, I say 6, I would have had a bunch of books for you. But because I know they're not for you, I'm not going to steer you in that direction. What you need to understand about your energy is that you are not a book reader. You are a doer. For some reason, I'm seeing you stick your hands in soil, dirt, like vegetation or something. Are you a gardener? when I see things like that, me either. When I see things like that, visions like that, that tells me you either had a past life doing something like that, or one of your ancestors did. And so, do you have an altar with Asakania? You are Esakinio. You are not even supposed to be on here. You're supposed to be somewhere else. Isakina. And she's about that. Well, when different beings come into my energy, the ones that want to talk to you and they can't, they come up. No, none of those are going to come in. I actually pulled Nasha, the Nataru, with this particular energy pull that I just did before I came on. I said, Kino, this is why. Okay. You know, if you could donate, that would help a lot. Because for you, just like for many others, there has to be an energy exchange. It doesn't have to be a lot. When you are ready, then, you know, my Cash App is in one of these videos. A lot of you encounter my old little instructions on the inside where I got a whole bunch of stuff, yada, yada, yada. But you can find my Cash App there. And the reason why it's important for energy transference is because you have a lot of energy on you. When we do things like lay down with males, it's on us. So you got to be mindful of that. For me, I had a bout where there was abstinence. Chastity is something else. Chastity is not what you all believe. Do you know that they really locked your parts? They really locked it. Okay. All right. Well, when you are ready, no problem. You all, when you all see this reading, because this is a group that's going to watch, even if their energy is not in it, it is very, very important for you to understand that when you see this pull, that these are the type of energies that you encounter. I spoke about that news clipping that I seen with a man that looked like what I see him as spiritually is a ghoul. He was being let out or something, something like that. Oh, it's a whole bunch of archangel men talking right now. It's only a few you can hear. Well, it's important for you to understand that it's not the actual act, and it doesn't get you deemed or you're not seen as bad in God's eyes because of that. What happens is your aura gets muddied and you attract entities and energies, not just in your womb, in your environment. Uh, it, because you all went through several different types of ascensions, it's different for y'all. What you're talking about is the ascension where you see astral bodies. That is like Buddhist level. That is a very old soul that can see your astral body. That is not something common for a psychic. Like I stated before those that are looking, trying to see who is communicating, what is happening is a telepathic transmutation. Somebody asks questions telepathically all the time. What happens is the women, beings and archangels, pantheons, pathologies, all of these will be channeling as you will. Yeah, meaning you always see it as channeling, but for us, it's not channeling. They'd start talking and asking questions. Um, these are ones that once felt like they could scare me when I was sleeping, you know, um, do all type of things. To me, either. It's interesting that when I come on live, they feel like I won't pick it up when I'm talking to them in their minds. It's what I'm doing is I'm normalizing it because people that research it already know that it is capable. It's those that want to push a narrative that don't realize when they start pushing this narrative, they're going to look like they're uneducated. Anytime I'm on live, you want to research what you think you're gonna call me out on before you do so, because you gonna look foolish. I got too much weight. I'm just telling you, I'm what a man in a body would consider a triple threat because I have the brains, the beauty, and the body. So you don't, when they get tired of all the falsities, if they were to run into a woman like me, they would say she's a keeper. I don't care if she's fat. I don't care if she has bald spots. I don't care if she need to go get a pedicure, because those type of things, okay, money can buy. Thank you. They're talking about the nails and the wigs. Um, what happens is I'm talking, and when someone new enters or a question comes, I have to pause, and I often pick up someone else's um, conversation. These are all beings. What is happening now is he's attempting to see if he could talk about this without looking. I'm not going to say that because well, it's not, it's for you to share. If you were to share it first, then you wouldn't look foolish talking about it. What happens is a lot of people encounter me and they want to hide me for some reason. When I entered into a conscious gate, I was sharing everything. I was like this, and I was like, ooh, this, they need to know this. They not like me. Some of y'all not like me. Y'all wanna harbor. It's not signs of intelligence or signs of someone that has ascended. It's somebody said it's gatekeep. Interesting enough, I have a different theory surrounding gatekeeping because I know the original meaning of gatekeeping. Y'all are talking about the industry and it's a slang, which is perfect. Gatekeeping in this situation is accurate. They want to hide me for the purpose of coming back, cherry picking, and see if it works on another platform. That's what they do it for. You don't get any type of blessings or bliss from that. Sometimes when you share, just share. That means you put on the pathway that you're supposed to be on and not mine. Because it's hard walking in my shoes. My views are different because for the last 3.5 years, I've been on and offline. So what that means is when I turn on my device to film, it'll have no connection or LTE at the top, which it has right now. The same with that screenshot. I'm looking at the chat right now. It's 17 individuals. At the highest peak from my observation, it was 30. When I end the live and I screenshot it and put it on my community section, if I choose to, you're going to see and you're going to understand that that is why that's a screenshot. Because when we are in the live, we don't get any type of notification of who's coming in and out. The people in it, including myself. What happens is people from other places click on. And because I'm not present where they're at, it's not showing up. It is being multidimensional. So now you understand. See, now is you with certain apps, specifically streamer apps, they're not known for accuracy. What is happening is you've been separated from where you started. So what that means is when you wake up, you go outside, the people are the same a lot of times if you have neighbors and you've been there for a while, but the place is different. Everything looks the same. Sometimes dimensions matter. You know, like when you're pulling out of your driveway or making a right turn, a tight right turn, you start noticing like, wait a minute, the dimensions of the street is different. Or when you feel like you had deja vu and you were in a place that once had a 5 lane or 6 lanes, and now you see it's for or two. I mean, it's little things like that. Greetings, Kate. Well, I want you all to be mindful. Now, you know, because I know that all of the females and women in this chat have ascended past the level where they need to wrap their hair so things don't communicate. What that means is because you've already been through a paradigm shift, if something that is otherworldly wants to communicate with you, it definitely can. This is where you have protection. You should have protection because a lot of you, you're supposed to ascend past. That means you're in a safe zone where you don't have people mind hack you. These are all concepts. As y'all see these brothers that consider regular brothers start talking about it, then you're gonna say, okay, this is what Ether's talking about. Because you can get finessed. You know? You'll be sitting there talking about, that is my God. That's my God. And then next thing you know, Archangel Gabriel's there. Because, you know, no other body should be your God. No body. Nothing with a body should be your God. If you believe that something with a body is your God, then you got a problem. Because the body wither away. I'm just saying. There's no way I would look at another man, a woman, and say, that's my God. Because some of y'all males, y'all did that. That's an archangel. He thought that was funny. Because some of y'all be saying, Ether be sound like people sometimes. And I know I do. I do. It's funny. I appreciate you. God, you know, I be sitting here talking to God. I be saying, God, you know, I done got so tired of calling on God and just, you know, it's pretty much standard when you're an angel. Those that have ascended high enough to know that they are angels, they're also in observance, and they are not my enemies. No, they're not. What happens is certain ones, you like the aristocrats. One of you said, why is Ether using that voice? It's like someone is talking for her. And you were right. You were absolutely right. Someone was talking for me. What you want me to say is the fuck. And you know, the fuck, the fuck. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The fuck, the fuck, the fuck. Y'all want me to talk like that, and it's time. It's time when I'm shooting the ish with the archangels. The men, they love when I'm like that. They absolutely love it. It's not conversations in my head. I open up my mouth and I talk just like this, and their voice comes out, and it's super funny. It's really funny. You want ball. Ball's voice is so deep when he's in the presence of a Okitio. You would say, WTF is that? I am cooler than a fan. I'm really a cool character. I really am. There's no deception around me. When I was in my teens, uh, when I jumped off the porch, a lot of the older men took me under their wing. Even when I decided to go to barbering college, I was somebody that went to molars. So, I had master barbers teaching me how to cut. My energy is different. They don't see me and say they might, they may say either it's doable, but a lot of times they look at me like the real men, they look at me as like a little sister or something. There's nothing wrong with being the little sister in the crew. That means you're not going to be disrespected, and you're not going to have that thing. Some of these dudes, they've already categorized you, okay? And when you get in that category, it's kind of hard for it to be you. There's no one that I know of that would ever say there was a ripper and a runner, because where I'm from, the era I grew up in, that's what they call them, rippers and runners, bobbleheads, busybodies. Yeah, busybody. Yeah, that's my era. Y'all, the entitlement era, the descendants, which are not biological, of the entitlement era have nothing original. They don't. I'm trying to think of anyone that I've seen. The wigs are not original. The nail style is not original. The way you talk, the foot is not original. Nothing. I, I'm willing to bet that right now, 20 of y'all somewhere got on the same wig. The foot. When I was wearing wigs, I didn't want to look like nobody else. See, that's my era. We don't want to look like nobody else. Right now, what it's looking like is we are the We Don't Care committee. That's what it's looking like. When I look online, especially on Tickety Tockety, I say that's my era right there. Give or take a few, maybe 6 years. That's my era. Because when you get my age, when I was in my 20s, let me tell y'all something. I said, I ain't gonna ever get caught without my hair done and my nails done. I was one of them. I was one of them. You not finna. Tennis shoes, wear. I wore heels. I was one of them in my 20s. Now, give me them Jordans. No, better yet, give me them flip flops. Cause them Jordans sometimes, you gotta put like 15 minutes into getting them Jordans. So, but if I want to look good going outside, it's gonna be some Nikes on my feet, or, I wear wedges. I got a whole bunch of wedges. To me, it just when you take a moment to reflect, right? When you start looking at yourself from all angles, when you see somebody, you say, okay, they look like they could be my size, my height, and that heel look like it's gonna break. You tend to not want to wear stilettos. So for me, being that I done got pew pew the ankle, it's not worth it. I'm not the I'm gonna carry my shoes crew. I would just not wear them. Let's see. So it's all about being comfortable. When you start realizing that when you all dolled up like that, the type of male energy you attract is not one that you want, especially for me. When I would look like that, I would get the Harley drivers, the ones in the Benzes and stuff like that. I don't want them. I don't want them. I'm telling you, I don't. Because those are the ones that think they're too good. More than likely, they got a wife or 7 children that they not claiming. They got somewhere. And whoever they live with is the one that take care of all the bills, including the one attached to that Mercedes or that Benz. So we just gonna make that clear. This is real game here. This is real game. So when y'all be online and y'all know y'all every bit of 16, but you looking like you're 36, and when you see one of them, the new thing is everybody's in agreement, you know, of him and a brother up because of who they is. But back in the day, y'all would have been the first one trying to sit on somebody's lap in front of their wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even back in the day, like right now. Like, as soon as she leave, you're gonna pick up that phone and you're gonna say, can you come get me? And then you're gonna spray all that stuff in your hair and put on that choking out spray. And when you get in his car, he gonna say, she got the shit on me. FYI, that the miss, cut it out. Just they gonna start saying they're allergic to it. You need to understand that no era, absolutely none, over 40 is interested, really and truly, in any female energy that wears wigs, especially those lace fronts. Now, the lace front wears are actually opening up the door for the regular wig wearers. So for those of you that wear regular wigs and you are a female or a woman, just give it a minute, because after they stop attempting to dissect what the WTF is coming from the top of their head, then they're gonna say that's what that is. And if they happen to have sisters or mothers, they're gonna go and examine it when you're not looking. My era is the era of the tumbleweave. You know how the girls would take out their braids and just drop them in the middle of the street. And next thing you know, you just see a big old bushel of synthetic hair rolling down. That's my era. That means that growing up, all the females, they wore braids. When I wore a weave, it happened to be like a 22. I remember I put a 22-inch weave in my head, similar to like the style that Nicki Minaj made popular again, with the bangs and the long 20. I wore that on the bus. Child. I remember one time I wore some fake hair and somebody thought they was gonna cut it. You know, like this. I grew up around the ones that y'all would consider as like really hitters as females, because they wasn't playing that weave stuff. Some of it was jealousy, but you know, the thing about natural hair, it is yours. So yeah, there's no wig that could ever be natural hair. No matter if you don't have it. The women that made the bald look, not the triple fade, the low cut, the one cut, popular again, are a different type of beautiful. That means they've already surpassed societal standards. They're not looking to impress anyone with the added on piece. They'll go and cut all of their hair off and look just as good or maybe even better than someone with a head full of hair. Because what it does is it brings out your natural beauty. Now, me, I would not cut all my hair off. Not that short because it does not complement my structure. But I've seen many women with that type of style, and they are extremely beautiful. Amber Rose is one. She's one. So that could be, you know, well, Amber Rose is different because Amber Rose is like a hidden figure. She was made popular through who she chose to date, but when you look at her facial features and the fact that she's not putting on added pieces, and she very well could, she's making a statement. A lot of people would consider Amber Rose a statement piece because of her beauty. That it just shows you that beauty could be obtained without any added piece. Has nothing to do with her complexion and everything to do with her confidence combined with the structure of her face. Now, you're talking about Grace Jones. Some people believe that she is extremely beautiful, and some people do not. And, that's good. That's, you're a loctician, that's what y'all call it now. What the reason why I locks is it was pretty much the only in my eyes. I've wore all the styles, including lace fronts. When I wore lace fronts, I was still blend them in with my natural hair. Like I was one of those ones cutting pieces up and stuff, cutting it up, sewing it, dyeing it and all that. I was one of them. Reason why is transparency is y'all need to understand that I'm just like y'all. You know, that's something that you should take into consideration when you look at these artists, these celebrities, that they're just regular people. They have fame and some have wealth, but they're regular people. So when they click on apps like this and they see all of this satire, it does something. They have to separate themselves from the general public because of the way you perceive them. They, I know I haven't been to a concert in a while. The conversation is about like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, his energy was one that was enticing, not hypnotic, enticing. So when people would see him, they would fan out, like pass out and cry and shake, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a rapper, so I don't know if these groups experience that. People passing out when they perform and all that. That's like intoxicating energy. Those are mega stars there. All right, so you all, I wanted to come and spend some time with you. If I happen to go live on my other channel, it'll pretty much be the same because I need a decompressor. Everything don't need to be, either it needs to edit, either needs to make sure I get this content out. Sometimes either needs to take a moment because situations are happening to me as well. And when you are at the beginning of situations, you don't understand why it's happening. So you have to get a level of comfortability of where you're at so you can make it through the rest of the duration. For me, because I'm not a mega star and I don't really tick people off too much, I don't see people doing too much content, H content. Now the ones that have was just clarity for those that viewed it over and over again, that she was one of them and Ether called her out. What tends to happen is a lot of times the people that want to oppose me but don't know the angle, what'll end up happening is they'll figure out that I've already called out or I'm going to call out someone that did something to them, and then they kind of like back up. And they're like, okay, we're gonna let Ether. I'm not gonna donate though. I'm not gonna share. I'm just gonna let Ether do all the work, and then hopefully somebody will have the balls to say Ether is a fraud, which we know. I don't have a record for fraud. I don't. You may have one, but not me. So that's not what I'm known for. People that know me from back in the day, they ain't gonna say nothing about no fraud. That's not what they gonna say. Because where I was at when I cut up, if everybody else was cutting up too, it ain't gonna be too many people say nothing. Some are not living, and some just ain't got the time. Like they too busy. The type of individuals I grew up around don't have channels and things of that sort. One does that I know of. It could be others, but possibly not on YouTube. They might be over there on B or something like that. That's more their speed. They like to get on and call them call them edge. That's the, they just be they just be so profound. They put monkeys signified. They put black ones, white ones. They're gonna call you all type of itches, and then somebody gonna put it in their lyrics, because that's what they be doing over there. I know any originals over there. Y'all know any originals over there on that go? Come on, y'all tell me. I'm talking about some that really have original names. Like, when you be looking, you be like, oh, that's where he got that from. They be saying that'd be me, like what Cat LaFleur, we don't fight fair. It was actually Nas that made Ether popular again. Ether is one of them. I am a Nas fan. I was listening to Nas in West Point Projects, where you just don't, you bumping everything local. Oh my goodness. You know that one, FJZ. After I played that when it first came out, they tried to rob my house. That's how monumental that one was. Either had beef after I played that. I remember when it dropped, everybody was running. I played that thing one time, left the house, came back, and I'm like, these niggas coming up. Cause baby, I'm trying to tell you. I'm a Nas fan. I can say that I'm a Nas fan. I'm also a Busta Rhymes fan. Let's see, who else? I'm an E40 fan. I'm a JT the Big Figure fan. Let's see, Mac Dre, 3 Times Crazy. Let's see, what other fan I am? I'm a Mac 10 fan. I'm a Ice Cube fan. Let's see. I'm not gonna say the rest, because y'all gonna start trying to go over there and see if y'all can steal that music. These would be local ones I grew up with, actually was on the same street. They was either in my grandparents' house or something like that. Y'all gonna, y'all talk about Cool Nut. I know who Cool Nut is. I know who he was. And he was one of the ones in my grandparents' house. So when it's a difference, when you talk about him and you know him, and when you just talk about him and you want to be him. Yeah. So I grew up in the cool nut era. I very much did. And he did have pullouts, and he would pull them out, and he would laugh. He thought it was the funniest thing. Well, at least he did around me. Gold teeth. He had the ones you pulled out even back then. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'm indeed from Hunters Point. I'm from Hunters Point. I'm trying to get your energy because I want to see why you want to know where she's from. I talked about him because I actually know him. I knew who he was. There's other ones. I never met that I know of any member of Three Times Crazy, but I know their music. I know Mac Dre. I know Mr. Fab. I know who they are because that's my era, and that's my stumping grounds. I was all up and through the town. I was one of the ones in the sideshow. Y'all don't know nothing about no real sideshow. But they just get out and it's like, look like a million people dancing in the street. The yellow bus riders, the theaters, y'all don't know nothing about that. I was actually in that movement. All right, so I'm gonna end it.